Good morning. Welcome to the Path of Wildness meditation for today. Not the Path of Wildness, the Good Life meditation for today. Let's see. I'm going to go quickly through this because I just made a response video for somebody and used up a lot of time. So let's make this a quickie. So there are 4 components: the affirmation of human rights, human and civil rights, the objectives, the principles, and actually there's more now because I've got the which would be the today's thought plan and today's action plan. And also I've moved around the principles a little bit, so this constitutes an upgrade, so this is 6.0. Let's get into it. And again, I'm going to just touch on each of these. More or less, that's a good thing, because more or less I just need to get the new order in my mind more than the reflection of a deeper dive in each one. But I'll try to restrain myself, keep this under 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes at most if I can. First, the affirmation of human and civil rights. Human beings have particular rights that should not be violated and should be respected in spite of the will of the many. This holds true for the smaller groups within our society. The majority must respect the rights of the minority within the context of the society. And to that end, in my situation, I lean on the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the structure of law in place with my country, which of the United States of America, which I believe represents an imperfect yet a pretty good development and effort from within our society. Next, moving on to the 3 objectives, but first let me order my latte for today. Sorry about that. I decided it was taking a long time. They're really busy here at Starbucks, so I decided to save some space there. So the 3 objectives. The first of these is the development and maintenance of good, sound principles. These are the principles that will be the guidelines through our daily walk, run, or jog through life. The second is the execution of good emotion, the cultivation of good emotional reactions to the circumstances of life. Being able to respond well to the speed bumps along the way, to nibble at the emotions that rise within us, and then to respond, to react better, to not run away with anger, frustration, joy, lust, whatever the case may be. A mature and measured response. Doesn't mean you can't indulge those things in the proper context, but keep it within the lines, so to speak, and in the right place. Keep it in the bedroom. Or if you're gonna scream out loud into your pillow, or share it with your shrink. But don't do it at work. Don't take it out on your family and kids. Next, the performance of good actions. Just do good things. Okay, now let's move on to the 9 principles. Now, I moved things around a bit. I have to remember the title of the 9th one. Okay, hold on. I know I'm trying to set myself up now. If I recite it in my head now, I can remember it. I have a hard time. I was gonna write it on my hand, but I did write it down on my book. Yeah. So, one of my favorite books, Self-Reliance. Oh yeah, there it is. So the first is the atomic principle. Everything in the universe is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever forming and reforming into new and different things. Likewise, you and me. The atoms which we're made of will soon be available for use elsewhere, and everything about us will be wiped clear, including our memory, including our deeds. One day, all gone. Keep that in mind. Helps us to make a more deliberate. I'm telling myself that make a more deliberate life. More purpose, more deliberate. That's the word, not purposeful, deliberate life. 2, the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some nature. Stars shine. Seas are deep and dark. Sharks do toothy things. And you and I have our nature too, and it's good to recognize it and live in accordance with it. 3, the social principle. Human beings are social animals. We need one another to be successful. Successful is defined as living in accordance with the principles, and to enjoy and to be healthy. We can't really thrive without others, right? It's not much, but we're not doing much. That I can tell you that. 4, temperance, the execution of control over our consumption of standard things. It's coffee. I like to give myself maybe 1, maybe 2 coffees a week. This happens to be one of those days. Hi.
24, 25. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Busy, huh?
Yeah, it's been pretty busy for the past week. So.
Wow. Yeah.
Season, I guess.
You know, that must be it. Just feels like the holidays have started, and stores and everything,
Even
right?
though it's been like 95 degrees.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday it was like.
Definitely holidays here.
I'm lounging around the pool yesterday. So, temperance also applies to the consumption of our emotions, right? What we're going to do with regard to, as I said before, with the cultivation of good emotional reactions. 5, the agency and indifference. Agency is what we paint, is the meaning that we paint on everything. The sense of being designed and developed and. Thank you. Have a good day. Everything around me, I'm just surrounded with it. You know, the conversation with him, he's an agent. You know, the car is an agent. Is a reminder. It's an artifact of agent. It's not an agent itself. It's not living or conscious, but it's an artifact of agency, which is comforting. It's like having a picture of a loved one, which isn't your loved one, but looking at the picture comforts you in a way. Indifference is the absence of that. It's what you find when there is no agency, and it's the emptiness, the yawning, gaping, cold, or boiling hot, just doesn't give a damn about us. The fact of the universe. And what's happening is we're pretty wiped out when we see that. I mean, when you really encounter real indifference, that has a very sobering effect on us. So we tend to plaster the world over with agency by living and keeping ourselves very busy and engaged with other people and all that kind of stuff. And then as a result, we feel like we're surrounded by warmth, companionship, and meaning, which we are if we do that. But the thing is, the universe isn't like that. At least there's no one shown otherwise. So the big one is, the big agent is God. So we can ascribe God to oversee everything, and then everything has agency, or is the result of agency. And then there's nothing or less in the universe to be distraught or concerned over or worry about, right? So it's watch out for it, right? You know, agency is real, but watch out for artificial agency. Watch out for ascribing agency where it really doesn't exist. Go out and see the great indifference for yourself, and try to learn to live with it. Next, the best seat in the house. The best seat in the house is simply a perspective of looking at the world and our circumstance, and not necessarily saying, I wish I was somewhere else, I wish I was someone else, I wish I was doing something else, could be something else, had a different job or a different career, or different gender, or whatever it is, but to simply not, instead of wishing all of that, instead of wishing not to wish that, wishing to not wish that I was somebody else, or wishing to not wish that I had a different job, or any of those things. It doesn't mean that we just settle in for the ride in whatever circumstance we're in. No, we move forward, we apply goals, but in the meantime, we'll be content where we are along the way. Some might call that a sort of resignation. Perhaps it is in a way. But in the moments that we have, though, we are more content and can enjoy them for the incredible wonder that it is that we're even here. So next, reason. Reason is the governing faculty, the force by which we come to understand the world and the universe, the facts of life. The facts of life and what they mean and what they tell us about what is true, and the way that we determine if those things are true is we make predictions based on the arguments that we form, and we look to see if those predictions are accurate. And if so, then we're on to something. Keep it up, keep practice, keep testing. If not, then work on getting more facts and reevaluate the arguments. Move forward. Accept that you're going to be wrong. Don't settle for absolutes, because that's a long time coming, if ever. Unless it's a mathematical proof. That's about as close to an absolute as we get. Finally, virtue. Virtue is the purpose of life, the improvement of well-being by virtue of fulfilling the objective of our lives. So for me, I define virtue as being the improvement of well-being, as I just said. So well-being is things like living better, longer, healthier, stronger, and happier, and in better accord with our neighbors. And we can do that through objective ways. And we can discuss it and work together to across borders, across races, across languages, to decide what constitutes an improvement. So finally then, skip the summary part there, which is just a reiteration of everything there in one condensed form. Try to do it. When I first started doing this, I could do the summary pretty good. It would come out, spill out, but lately the summary just kind of feels like I'm repeating myself. So I may drop that altogether. It was never actually a part of this. It was just something I did as a matter of convenience at the end. But I've got more to say. So now the next part is the I forgot the last one. The new principle, which is actually something I started 2 videos ago, or 1 video ago, which I called the Bare Essentials. But what I'm calling it now here, I've changed the name and I've moved it to the end, and it's called the willful management of time, or just willful time management, as it probably says on the screen. And what that simply means is that not letting time just pass by like water flowing through a tap, but taking charge and control through the course of this day to make good use of the time, to not waste it in efforts as though I were here forever, as though I had an infinite budget of time to spend, but to apportion it out and use it in a deliberate, meaningful way, with the willful decision, the willful execution of actions, choices, actions, and interactions over the course of the coming day. So that dovetails really well with the 2 new things that I'm just adding now, which are the my today's thought plan and today's action plan. See how the decision to have a willful time management. If I can lay out what my thought and action plans are, then this is just for today. It's just today's plan. I'll do this every day from this point forward. So I state that I want to manage the time, and the 2 things I'm going to do now are the actual effort to plan the day out. So the first one, the today's thought plan, will be the same every day. It's the same. So it's the same process that I have now, which is that I will gather my thoughts before breakfast. Compose them before lunch. Compile and publish or share before dinner. That's what I do here on YouTube. So, in the morning I collect my thoughts when my brain is most sharp. I usually use my lunch break to kind of think about them, even write them out sometimes, or other things as well. Just making good use of the time. And then 3 in the evening, I publish this video usually before my wife's cooking dinner. I usually render it and upload it to YouTube. And then finally, all that's done in time to die before bedtime. So should we read that again? Compose my thoughts before breakfast. No, collect my thoughts before breakfast. Compose them over lunch. Compile and upload by dinner in time for death by bread. This death thing is going to show up a lot more in this. It's a real important part, not to be overly focused on it, but indeed to be focused on it, because it's a reminder to action in all things. So now the today's action plan. This is the more changeable one, where I'm going to actually lay out what I'm planning to do today. Actually bit by bit. Well, it shouldn't take too long, but for the most part during my work days it'll be largely the same. But in the weekends it might be different. So my action plan today is that I'm going to, as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to listen to my podcast, try to catch up on the election results for the presidential election that we had on Tuesday. And then I'm going to get to work. I'm going to sit down, lay out my day as I always do on the piece of paper, the meetings that I'm going to be in, prioritize the things that I need to achieve today. I have a very important meeting today at 11 o'clock with the state that I need to be ready for. It's for a project where I'm taking on PMing the component of that. And I need to do my homework in the morning beforehand so that I'm ready for that meeting. Also, recognizing that there's a lot that I'm not familiar with. So I'll go to my peers that are more familiar with this agency that I'm going to be working with, and get some information from them. I have a couple of other meetings that I need to be ready for, but they're more routine, not such a big deal. I'll catch up on the governance meeting that happened yesterday, which I lead, which I wasn't able to attend, but that's okay. It was actually that group's first time. I'm trying to transition control of that meeting over to them, so hopefully that all went well. I'll catch up with the guy that was facilitating that, and then during my lunch break I'm going to try to write out the pieces to apply here, to add that to the description, which is the compile part of the thought plan. When I'm going home, I'll catch up on more podcasts and such. When I get home, I'll get into the water, do my 50 laps in the pool, and then spend the evening with my family. I like to collect thoughts or interesting news bits and pieces. Whoa, watch out, person. Whatever it is that I encounter through the day, hopefully in this podcast, to share with my family as discussion points. So I like to keep track of those on my phone, on my notepad, and go over things, and humorous, political, science, whatever the case may be. Even though sometimes it bores them to death, I try to find stuff that interests them as well. So we'll see. And then I'll wrap the day up with a little relaxation maybe after I upload the videos. Taking not very much because I go to bed early, and then some quality time with the family as much as I possibly can. Squeeze in, help Emily with her homework.